This month is my 2-year anniversary, and I will never not patch. So aside from that, I can tell you all of these wonderful things that happened, but it would take the whole time, so I'm not going to do that. But I can tell you the latest few things that I could probably show you on paper. I had a diagnosis in 2020 of degenerative disc disease, which I'd had for a while, but it was official then. I was bone on bone in the L4, 5, and 6. And I had it in the cervical area, 3 bones. From years of, I think, sitting there at the desk with a phone like this and, doing all those things. So I had that, and I was in a lot of pain. But after I started patching, the pain wasn't there. I felt great. I felt younger. Everything was going great. I went back to the back doctor, a different one. And I told him, I want to make sure we're managing this okay. I don't want to end up in a wheelchair because I didn't pay attention to it because I'm not having any pain. I want to make sure I'm not letting something go, So he did the x-rays, and when he called me back in to read them, he said, you don't have degenerative disc disease. He said, you have beautiful discs. And he said, as a matter of fact, he goes, your L4 is just thinning a little bit, but for your age, that's great. I didn't mind saying for my age at that moment. I'm 69. He said, my discs look great. And I was just like, I said, do they grow back? And he goes, no, not really. And I said, well, they must. And then I also, 5 months into the patches, I went and had some blood work done. Because I was doing a little test of my own. I had mine about a week before I got onto the patches. And I was just sick and tired of this 15, 20 years of up, down, everything's wrong. The hormones are out of whack. CRP was high. Doctor says, you're going to have a heart attack. You're going to have a stroke. You got to get it under control. I didn't even know what it was to know what to get it under control. I went back 5 months later. I had my blood work run again, and everything was perfect. It was right across the middle, all green, the big green line all the way across. So I was already sold. I mean, there was no way I was ever going to not patch. And so those, I think, between comparison and the blood work and then my x-rays. And one other thing that they told me I had was something called ankylosing spondylitis, which is a degenerative spine disease. And it's kind of in the rheumatoid arthritis family, although they say it's auto-inflammatory versus autoimmune. There's no cure there, it's progressive. You're just going to keep hunching over until you're like a question mark, all hunched over. So I had the test done for that in March of this year. And my rheumatologist said there is no sign of it anywhere. It's not on the x-rays, and it's not in that specific little blood test that they do for the marker. It's not there. So I feel great. I'm not in pain, and I think it's healed. I think all my discs have grown back and everything's fine. So I'm very happy with that. I could never give it up. Thank you.
I believe that you feel great because you look great.
Yep.
So, but still, and I know that you didn't even tell us everything. You basically said we'd be here all night, but what you told us, that's huge. So ankylosing spondylitis, high C-reactive proteins, degenerative disc disease, fibromyalgia. I mean, I'd say that's quite a bit. How did that affect your day-to-day life up until you started patching?
I'm kind of the person that'll just keep on going no matter what, and nobody would ever see the pain on my face or anything. But I got to a point just the year before that it was getting increasingly more difficult to function. It starts to kind of mess with the cognitive part. It's you get some kind of cloudy days. I think pain just takes over, and you can't think, you can't concentrate. And I got to the point where you don't know when it's going to hit you hard. So it's hard to plan anything. So I was kind of getting to the point where I wouldn't make plans with anybody because I didn't know if I was going to have to cancel. And I always felt stupid canceling because it's like, I don't want to sound like one of these people that just, commits to something and then I fish out at the last minute. I hate that. So it was getting very difficult because I'm a very sociable person. I got to be out. I got to be me. And I got to get out there and have a good time. And I work. I'm a realtor. I'm busy. And, and I have a lot of social things I'm into. So it just wasn't my style. It was cramping my style. So I was so grateful to find these patches because I'd heard about them back in 2004, but my friend tried to get me on them. I'm like, yeah, get out of here. I just thought it was like another patch, like a hormone patch or a nicotine patch, something in it. I had no idea. So
wow. So 2004, I wish I had heard about them in 2004.
I wish I had paid attention.
Yeah, well, hey, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but boy, it looks like it's really changed your life quite a bit. And you were a one patch wonder. It's funny, when I first was introduced to this technology, I was kind of led to believe that the one patch wonder people were extremely rare, almost like a Sasquatch sighting or something. But I have met quite a few one patch wonders, and you are one more. I know people are going to ask this, but what patches do you use? Did you start out with one patch, maybe you
Right.
had others, or have you stayed with just one?
No, so when I had the X39 put on at Nancy's party, by the end of the party, I'm like, okay, I'm in. I want the biggest package ever, so I got it, and so I started patching with all of them. I was still learning, and I couldn't remember everything that I had heard, so I just started kind of experimenting. But I was wearing all of them that were available in that package, and I really believe that X39, the Eon, of course, forever and ever.
Yeah.
I think X49 did a whole lot for my back because of the bones and everything. Oh, and osteoporosis. That was another thing I have in my
Oh,
DEXA.
wow, wow.
My DEXA went from -4 to -1 in 2 years. So that was really good. So it's no longer called osteoporosis. Shut up. But so I've done them all. And so right now I kind of go between I've got SP6, I've got glutathione. I try to always have those. The X39 and Eon always. And then I'll throw in, sometimes I have some X49. I'll wear those until I run out. And I just go from there. So
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
different ones, that I kind of switch around. And
Well,
energy enhancer when I have those. So
love those. Yes. Well, you can't go
yeah,
wrong with X39 and Eon for sure. I always
no.
say you can accomplish so much in the body with those two, just those two patches. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I mean, again, you look great, and I know being a realtor, that is not for the faint at heart. You kind of need to, you're always on the go. It's physical and mental. That's
Yeah,
a lot. So wow. And all this in what, 2 years?
yeah,
2 years.
2 years. It
Wow.
was 2 years this month. So
Yeah.
right around September 9th. And I thought I retired a few years ago, and I thought, oh, I'll be a part-time realtor. Well, Nancy and I both know that that's not
There's no
possible.
such
There's
thing.
no
Yeah.
such thing.
Yeah, that's an oxymoron.
Yeah, right. So
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Gosh.
thank you.
Well, we'll have to have you on some other time and hear your whole story. But I mean, what you've told us is, my gosh, that's life-changing, and this
Yeah,
gives hope to so many people because I know there are those are common health conditions that a lot
right.
of people, especially women, suffer from. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, thank you so much, Kim, for joining us
You're
this
welcome.
evening and
You're welcome
sharing your
anytime.
story with us.